All right, guys, welcome in. Welcome in. I appreciate you tuning in. We're going to get right into this. And I actually really enjoy this debate. Bill Maher and Ana Kasparian. Bill Maher is on the side of Israel. Anna is unfortunately on the side of Hamas and Palestine. She seems to be a terrorist sympathizer every time I hear her talk about, genocide and stuff like this. So, but we do know this. I mean, let's look at the history. We do know that since 1947, when the British government turned over the relations to the United Nations, and they said, hey, look, this land is going to be split between Jewish and Arab land. Arabs were not they were not happy whatsoever, which led to the Arab-Israeli War in 1948, which the state of Israel was now created. Since then, there have been multiple opportunities. Israel has had multiple opportunities and told Palestine, let's come to a deal. Let's come to some type of arrangement here. Let's work out some deal. And ever since 1948, Palestine has always said no. 1967, Six-Day War, 2000, when Yasser Arafat was involved, they said no, 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 no. We don't want any deal. So after you go onto the table multiple times, and the person you're trying to convince to make a deal keeps saying no, we've understood that they don't want a deal. They don't want Israel to exist, okay? Israel is literally the size of New York City. There's one Jewish state in the entire world, okay? One. And there's over 50 Muslim countries, and a majority of them don't want to see Israel alive. Let's just be honest here. These Muslim countries want Israel to be gone. And unfortunately, that's what it is. So it blows my mind. But I'm going to tell you something. The Democratic media was so good. They were so good, so strategic at turning the cards on Israel and making Israel look like the bad guy that we saw some of these young Gen Z kids on these campuses saying, queers for Palestine. Do you know if you're gay, you can be killed in those Muslim countries? What do you mean queers for Palestine? That is how strong the Democratic media was to get these people believe that Israel is a bad guy and we're on the side of Palestine and we're on the side of these Muslim countries when these Muslim countries would kill you if you are gay. Do you think they're having transgender debates in Afghanistan and Iran? So I don't know. It's just very concerning to me that, we keep having these conversations. But I mean, let's just go into this. We're going to see what Bill Maher and Ana have to say.
I can exhilarate you.
I know you're going to say genocide, and I'm going to say, well, you don't know what the word means. And it's like, if you don't even know what the words mean.
I'm Armenian. I know what the word means.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, it's when you try to wipe out an entire population of people, which they didn't come close to doing.
I mean,
they prosecuted a war in which they were attacked, which everybody gets to do.
Which, by the way, let me just say, if they were literally going after Hamas, that is legitimate. That's totally legitimate. But that's not what's happening.
Hamas hides in tunnels underneath hospitals. You can't go in.
Hold on.
Hamas is the bad guy. If you don't get that, Hamas, you don't get much.
What Hamas did on...
First of all, Bill is absolutely right here. Now, imagine, it's not like they were meeting in an open battlefield. You know what I mean? Like 300 Sparta or something like that. Once they did their terrorist attack on October 7th, they sexually assaulted these kids and women and killed all these men, took hostages. They have tunnels under hospitals and schools. They're not just out in the open where they're like, Israel, attack me. No, they're hiding behind hostages and civilians. So, of course, innocent civilians are going to be killed. But that's not to say that Israel is specifically targeting those people. They're trying to kill Hamas, and they did a very good job of killing Hamas. But then there's some innocent bystanders because Hamas will hide behind these hostages.
October 7th was disgusting. Killing... I mean, I don't at all hold back on that. In fact,
I know that took a lot for her to admit that, though.
That's the easiest thing in the world to say.
I mean,
Nobody disagrees.
I agree. Nobody
disagrees.
There are people who disagree, actually.
Raping baby. Yes, there are.
There are people who think I'm wrong because Hamas, they're freedom fighters. What kind of freedom are we talking about here?
That people see Hamas, the people who hate oppression so much, are on the side of the people. And that's not just Hamas. If you social justice warriors, if you have any other issue besides gender apartheid in the world that is above that, you're just a joke. That if you hate oppression, there is one issue which should be above all because it affects more people, hundreds of millions of women who have basically no freedom in the Muslim world.
Right. So we should slaughter them instead.
Which is so crazy to me because Anna, being a woman, literally in the Muslim countries, you have zero freedom. You can't do anything. You can't divorce your husband. You can't do anything without the man's approval. You can't wear whatever clothes you want. You have to have your face covered. You have to have all these rules and regulations put on you. And then for her to sit there and defend pretty much Hamas and all these terrorists when they killed Israel. First of all, if you slap somebody and then that person punches you in the face and knocks you out. You can't say, whoa, you went too far. No, this is the reaction that you get. So Israel has every single right to defend themselves.
Which is what's been happening.
Well, you should prosecute a war to the end.
Mm-hmm.
That does involve slaughter of every war.
I think, listen, civilians get killed in wars. I think everyone knows that. Everyone acknowledges that.
Especially when you hide behind them.
But when 83%, according to the IDF's own data, and this is reported, by the way, I consume Israeli media on this. I don't consume American media on this. And Israeli media is super honest, way more honest than our media is. So when the IDF's own data indicates that 83% of the people that they've killed are civilians.
Because they hide behind them.
But Bill, do you understand that by killing so many civilians, they are essentially multiplying extremism?
I do understand that. Do you understand that there's very often in the world two very bad choices, and you only...
I mean, I'm an American. I have to vote in presidential elections. Yes, I do know that.
Okay, you don't have the good choice. You have the bad choice and the even worse choice. Israel has been being attacked by Hamas. First of all, the entire Arab world rejected them for 75 years. They kept trying to make a deal. They kept saying, no, we want it all. That's what from the river to the sea means. It means we want it all. We don't want a compromise. They've never wanted a compromise. Israel gave Gaza back.
But did they?
Yeah, that's what they chant. They'll say from the river to the sea, which is the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, inshallah, which is like God willing, we shall be free, which means it's a violent uprising chant against the Israeli people, meaning that we're going to have this entire land and they're not going to be here anymore. That's exactly what that means.
But Bill,
in
let's say our country was occupied by Mexico, right? We have a bunch of people who are occupying our land, and then they decide, you know what, we're going to leave. Hold on, let me finish.
They weren't occupying
Let me finish. Let's say Mexico decides, you know what, we're going to leave, but we're going to control their electricity, what goes in, what comes out.
Because they were attacking
We're going to mow the lawn and just like randomly decide we're going to slaughter people because they allegedly threw rocks. They have literally nuclear...
Well, they didn't allegedly.
I mean...
He actually keeps trying to defend them. Allegedly. You see how this is what's making me so upset when I hear Americans talk about, the defense of Hamas and the Palestinians. We know that Hamas commits public executions in front of people, that you can't, they've controlled Gaza since 2006. They won Palestinian Liberation Organization. They've won electoral legislation in 2006, and they took control of the Gaza Strip in 2007. So we know this to be fact. So since 2007, terrorists have been controlling the Gaza Strip.
Israel has nuclear weapons, Bill. They have nuclear weapons.
And they don't, and
they have the world's military superpower backing them.
Right. Well, they have nuclear weapons, which they don't use. If Hamas...
No, they don't use it, but to pretend
if Hamas...
That is such a dumb argument for her and all these other people on the left to sit there and say that Israel's committing genocide. If we're using her own argument and saying that, yes, they have nuclear weapons, which we can acknowledge, they haven't used them. So if they really wanted them to be gone and wiped out, they would have used them. So that's not even a good argument.
Hamas had a nuclear weapon. How many seconds would it take before they used it on Israel?
I have no idea.
3. 3's the answer. 3 seconds.
How do you know that, Bill? Come on.
Because it's in their charter.
If they used a nuclear weapon against Israel, I'm pretty sure the very land that Hamas cares about would be done for.
Okay, then they would be martyrs, and that would be a good thing, because that's their death cult view of the world. It's a good thing when you die. That's why they strap suicide vests sometimes on children. The fact that you can't see the moral difference between these two sides always amazes me among people.
I actually don't see the moral difference when you have like Bezalel Smotrich and Ben Gvir literally talking about exterminating the entire population of Gaza.
Okay, they're not talking about...
And these are not... They are. I mean, the statements are brazen. They're upfront. They're honest. This is what they actually want to do. I mean, the West Bank is another example.
It's in Hamas.
The West Bank had nothing to do with what happened on October 7th, but they're annexing that land anyway. They're raining terror on innocent people, innocent Palestinians. They're driving them out of their homes. Like, listen, I am willing to admit, because it's the truth, that what Hamas did on October 7th was a fucking atrocity.
Oh, wow.
Killing innocent people.
Who couldn't admit that?
Which is kind of crazy, because she's been on the side of Hamas and Palestine, but yet she wants to come back to the table and wants to come back to the middle and say, yeah, we do acknowledge that it was a terrible thing that Hamas did this. But But Israel's gone way overboard in killing. First of all, again, Hamas is not just out in the open so Israel can just bomb them. No, they're hiding in tunnels under hospitals because Israel has to be very strategic and going after these people because innocent civilians are going to be killed, which they were, which happens in every single war. Innocents were killed in Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan. Innocents were killed all over the place. So nobody wants to kill innocents, but unfortunately, that's what has to happen in order for them to kill Hamas.
But you have a difficult time at least acknowledging the atrocities that have been committed against innocent civilians in Gaza.
Well, it depends on what you call an atrocity. All wars are going to have atrocities.
A double tap on a hospital? A double tap on a hospital? So when the first responders show up?
I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I vaguely remember the thing.
Right.
Yeah. First of all, that's an old terrorist trick. Mm-hmm. That's what they do all the time.
Okay, but are you at least going to acknowledge that the IDF doing that was wrong?
Yeah, I'm sure they have committed what we would call war crimes, as every army does in every war.
Right, including our own, right?
In every war, including the Civil War. I forget who it was who made the good point. Like, during the Civil War, a lot of people would say, especially in the South, that Sherman did not have to burn Atlanta quite as badly as he did. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, we were pretty brutal. But would you also then just say, well, we don't know who the good guys were in that war? No, I think it was the North. I think that they committed.
That is a perfect example. Perfect. Sherman, who was the general to Ulysses S. Grant, who was like the right-hand man, second, did burn the crap out of Atlanta. But to Bill's point, would you sit there and say, we still don't know who the good guys were? Sometimes the good guys do things overboard to make an example, to make sure you never attack them again. Again, Israel has every single right to defend themselves until they deem it necessary to stop attacking them, because this was one of the worst things that we've seen, because Israel is literally only the size of New York City. Okay, so imagine Mexico coming over here, killing thousands of Americans, and then taking thousands of Americans back to Mexico as hostages. What do you think the American response would be? How do you think America would handle something like that? Do you think they'd be like, okay, you killed 1,000 Americans, we're only going to kill 1,000 Mexicans? No, it's going to be brutal. But that's what happens. Israel is constantly being attacked by Hamas. Again, they're next door to Hamas. Hamas has been controlling Gaza since 2007. They're right next to terrorists who want them gone. So Israel, again, should wipe Hamas off the planet, 100%.
Committed the atrocity in Atlanta. Yeah, that's true. They burned when they shouldn't, and they were very rough on the South. They were still the good guys. They were fighting against slavery, as Israel is fighting to survive. And also, you know, they are the front line in the Western world.
I totally disagree with you on this entirely. Well, I think much of the problems we have in the Middle East is due to the enabling of this look, it's an expansionist policy. If Israel wasn't trying to continue expanding in the Middle East, so I don't think they would be dealing with the enmity, like the enemies that they're dealing with.
They've never been asked. They've never been trying to expand.
They're trying to annex the West Bank right now, and Lebanon, southern Lebanon, and Syria, which they've succeeded in.
These are all places that they were attacked from. When they became a country in 1947, they said, "Okay, we will accept half a loaf." They had as much right to that land as anybody. There was a continual presence there since 1000 BC, when King David had a kingdom.
I don't care about that at all.
Okay, but it's relevant. It's relevant to people. It's relevant.
You can't wipe out innocent people because you used to live there like centuries ago.
You're calling them colonizers. They're not colonizers.
They're expanding and they're annexing land. That's what colonizers do.
That was the first time?
No, that wasn't the first time.
When was?
But when you say that they have offered land to the Palestinians, land that belonged to them in the first place,
it didn't belong solely to them.
The whole point of this whole two-state solution was, okay, we'll give you this territory if you promise not to militarize. Without a military, you don't have a country. You don't have a country without a military. You don't have a country without borders, right? Without a military, you can't defend your borders. So if I were engaging in these negotiations with the Israelis, I would say, listen, I respect the territory that you're offering. However, we need to militarize. We need to protect our borders.
And this is what's kind of making me upset about this. Since 1947, they have had plenty of opportunities to come to the table and create some type of two-state solution. Since 1947, Arabs said no. They had the Israeli war in 1948. In 1967, they had another opportunity. Year 2000 with Bill Clinton and Yasser Arafat, they had another opportunity. They said, no, we don't accept this deal, which, by the way, Bill Clinton said that was a terrible thing for Yasser Arafat, who was the leader of Palestine at that time. He said that, I can't believe you turned that deal down. You'll never get a better deal than this. The Saudi prince at that time, too, who was the ambassador of the United States, literally came down on Yasser Arafat and said, how could you turn this deal down? So after that, once they turned that deal down, they started attacking Israel, which became the second intifada. So again, how many times does Israel have to be attacked before they just say, you know what, we're done with this? We're going to wipe Hamas off the planet.
To me, that's a big thing.
But that's not what they ever used it for. Again, they gave Gaza back in 2005. They could have chosen...
They didn't give Gaza back in... They left Gaza, but didn't really leave Gaza when they have complete control over the territory.
Because they kept being attacked.
And by the way, once they did give Gaza back, they withdrew their troops. They gave it back. The PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, Hamas was in control in 2006. They won elections and took over the Gaza Strip in 2007. Terrorists took over. They won legislative election. This is insane, and you're still trying to defend them.
Let me finish one sentence.
Go ahead.
They could have turned Gaza into a state that was much more like, I don't know, Dubai or something, if they wanted to. They didn't. Hamas took over right away. They never had elections after that.
Mm-hmm. You're right about that. You're right about the elections,
They're
yes.
a terrorist mafia. Their own population is terrorized by them. They don't like them. All they did was import weapons from Iran, build tunnels, and use it to prosecute this war against Israel. They never used it. So, of course, Israel is going to be defensive. Their issue was they were not defensive enough, which is why October 7th happened.
So you're making good points. I'm going to concede to some of them, not all of them, but
no, I don't even know why you want to talk about this.
I know. I'll ask you one more question. We can move on.
It's frustrating because
my problem is, okay, even if I concede entirely to everything you're saying, how about a little bit of ire directed toward Benjamin Netanyahu, who's the guy who facilitated the funding and has totally admitted to facilitating the funding of Hamas? Why did he prop up Hamas? Because he wanted to essentially discredit the PLO. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of whatabouts you can say.
But it's not a whataboutism. The very man who propped up Hamas is now saying that he needs to fight them.
I mean...
And now he's also funding Abu Shabab. Why are you funding Abu Shabab, who has ties to ISIS?
These things are not wrong. It just looks like you're looking for something
to make a full.
That's exactly what she's doing. She's like, oh, what about this? And what about Israel? And what about Benjamin Netanyahu? Benjamin Netanyahu was doing this. That's exactly what she's doing. This is what the Democrats will do in order to try to condemn Israel's actions. By the way, for getting attacked. Okay, they were attacked first. If Israel was the one that just started this conflict and started attacking Hamas, okay, sure, maybe you can have an argument. But again, they were defending themselves. And how dare the left say, well, you know what? They're doing too much now. I know they came over there and killed their children and sexually assaulted their kids and the women and killed their men and took hostages. I know that was wrong. But how dare Israel respond the way that they did? This is insane.
False equivalency.
This is what I want. Look, I want Palestinians to live in their own territory. I want them to be able to govern themselves. I want Israelis to live in peace and safety.
Then stop attacking them.
I'm going to attack them as long as they're doing what they're currently doing.
They're doing in retaliation for being attacked. Of course it is. They've been attacked. They were encircled. Lebanon. Why are they in Lebanon? Because Hezbollah was attacking from there.
Right, in response to what they're doing in Gaza, yes.
Well, before that, they've had 4 wars there.
Was it when they were trying to annex land from southern Lebanon that they were attacking?
They were not trying to annex land. They were trying to put a border between the country that was continually attacking them. Mm-hmm. If we were being attacked from Canada, I imagine we would want a little border between Maine and Canada.
True.
I don't think you
really... But while
really...
building that border, we wouldn't then take a little bit of southern Canada for ourselves.
You're getting this information.
No. It's 100% true. But here, you would have to understand why she has such a personal feeling about Hamas and Palestine is because Cenk Unger, who literally, put her on the Young Turks for all these years she's been working with, is a Palestinian man who, again, is a terrorist sympathizer and is a fan of Palestine. Obviously, that's his background. So, of course, they're going to be sympathetic and hate Israel.
No, it's not TikTok.
It's to get to it. And now that you have, I'm not going to back down on it because
I don't want
and
you
I'm
to.
not Jewish, by the way.
Oh, I didn't accuse you of being Jewish, and then it wouldn't matter if you were.
No, but I'm saying I do this because I think it's the right thing, and because I feel like I know the history and the politics of it.
I respect your perspective.
Okay,
yeah.
But if you had to live in the Middle East, so tomorrow, Anna, you got to go live in the Middle East. Where would you live? You can pick one city.
This is how Bill shuts her down. Okay, because she's defending all these Muslim countries and Palestine and all these other things. He literally asked her a perfect question and watch her response.
Any city. You can, as far away as, say, Pakistan. You could live in Karachi. You could live in Cairo. You could live in Amman, Jordan. You seem to love Lebanon. I mean, Beirut's nice when the bombing's not happening and the assassinations have stopped. Or you could live in Syria. I hear that's wonderful in the summer.
Well, we now have Al-Qaeda terrorist leading Syria.
Or the Houthis, I'm sure, would make room for you.
Yeah.
Tel Aviv, or the West Bank, Ramallah, I think is wonderful for a little, in the fall, it gets lovely. Where would you live? What city would you live in?
Well,
where do you think you'd be comfortable in that dress?
I'm sure it would not be comfortable in this dress in any of the various Middle Eastern countries that have been destabilized by
You're not
United States.
You're not really blaming it on Whitey.
Listen.
Are you? You're blaming Islam on Whitey?
I'm not blaming Islam on Whitey.
But what you're saying is we destabilized. That's why you can't wear that dress.
Did we not destabilize?
Wait a second.
We were funding terrorist organizations in Syria during the Syrian civil war.
You see how she always tries to defend Islam, jihadists, all these people. She's trying to always defend them for no reason whatsoever. Instead of just saying Islam doesn't respect women whatsoever, you have no voice, you have no say, you're going to do what the man says 24/7, you're going to wear this dress, you're going to have to wear all this clothing, to hide your hair, to hide your face, you only have your eyes exposed, all this stuff. She can't even say that. And that is why Bill said in that dress, because Bill knows damn well she cannot go to Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan or Libya or Egypt or any place like that wearing that.
Starting under the Obama administration.
That's why
did that not destabilize Syria?
No, what's destabilized?
There's a literal Al-Qaeda terrorist.
We're talking about your dress.
Oh,
why?
It looks good. I know it looks good.
You're saying you can't wear that dress in Syria because of Whitey destabilizing?
I didn't say that.
Okay, that's what it said. Okay, great.
But the United States did destabilize various Middle Eastern countries. Are you going to deny that?
I asked about the dress, and you went right to destabilize. So is that why you couldn't wear that dress? Why couldn't you wear that dress? Why couldn't you walk down?
You want me to talk about jihadism and Islam, but
why won't you?
Listen.
Why won't you?
I mean,
Why?
I don't believe in jihadism, which is why I'm furious that the United States just had a freaking Al-Qaeda terrorist in the White House.
It's not just jihadism that is preventing you from wearing that dress. Are you saying every Muslim is a jihad? I don't think they are.
Bill.
Okay, why can't you wear that dress?
Let's focus for a second.
No, you won't answer this question.
I'm not going to defend that religion, that extremist religion at all.
Why can't you just say?
That's not what this discussion is about. This discussion is about
it's very much what it's about.
Ordinary, innocent human beings that I don't want to be slaughtered, regardless of what their religion is.
No one does. Then stop starting wars.
It's that simple.
Stop attacking Israel. It'll stop.
Okay.
But
plain and simple, and I enjoy that debate. I think they're both, respectful and cordial with each other. But again, anything that Aunt Anna says is just, mind blowing. Just the constant defense of Palestine and Hamas and why they did what they did with Israel. And Israel went overboard. Again, every single country, once they get attacked, pretty much goes overboard, So I think that he had that perfect example of Sherman, that North general who did what he did in Atlanta, which he didn't have to burn Atlanta as much as you did. But you're not going to say, well, I wonder who the good guys were in that. Nope, it was still the North. So, I mean, we're going to see. I think that the Democratic media has done a very good job of making Israel look the bad guys. And now if you defend Israel in any type of way, you're not loyal to America for whatever reason. So for Ana to still defend Hamas is still kind of mind blowing to me. But I think that was a great interview. I think Bill did an amazing job shutting down her points. I think, Ana did a good job, bringing up some, logical points as well. But again, Bill Maher did an excellent job of shutting all that down. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. I'm out of here.